BV. I am going to present on topic deadlocks from the third unit of database management systems. The objectives of studying this topic is to understand the transaction deadlocks and to analyze the various deadlock handling methods. First of all, let us see what is meant by a deadlock. In a database, a deadlock is an unwanted situation in which two or more transactions are waiting indefinitely for one another to give up locks. Deadlock is said to be one of the most feared complications in database management systems as it brings the whole system to a halt state. Let us see one example. Let us understand the concept of deadlock with an example. Suppose a transaction T1 holds a lock on some rows in the student table and needs to update some rows in the grades table. Simultaneously, another one transaction T2 holds the locks on those such rows which T1 needs to update in the grades table but needs to update the rows in the student table held by the transaction T1. So here is the problem is T1 wants to update the database, update some portion of the database table which is locked by another transaction T2. On the other hand, T2 wants to access the database table portion which is currently locked by the transaction T1. So T1 will wait for the transaction T2 to give up lock, and similarly the transaction T2 will wait for the transaction T1 to give up the lock. As a consequence, all activity comes to a halt and remains at a standstill forever unless the DBMS detects the deadlock and aborts one of the transactions. Also, the deadlock system is deadlocked if there is a set of transactions such that every transaction is in this set is waiting for another transaction in the set. So consider the two transactions T1 and T2. T1 is first it is putting the lock on the data item A and it is writing the data item A. But it is waiting for another one data item B to put lock on B. At the same time, transaction T2 is hold the lock on data item B, writing on B, but it is waiting to access the A. So here the complication is A is currently being locked by T1. T1 is waiting for B, but B is currently being locked by T2. So none of the transaction can complete its execution because the wanted data is locked by another transaction. So this situation is called as deadlock situation. Also, we can understand the deadlock situation with this another one example. Two programs are executing, program A and program B. And in database there are two records are there, record X and record Y. The program A has locked the data record X, but at the same time program A to complete its execution it is in need of record Y, but the record Y is locked by another one program B. So after its completion only it can unlock the record Y. But the problem with the record Y is it is locked by program B. So program A can't complete the execution because it wants one record Y which is locked by program B. Also program B can't complete its execution. It wants the record which is locked by program A. So both programs can't complete this execution. This situation is called as deadlock situation. Now let us move to the deadlock handling processes. So deadlock prevention control ensures that the system will never enter the deadlock state. So in the deadlock handling, we will consider some methodologies for deadlock prevention, deadlock detection and deadlock avoidance. So the initial step is to prevent from the deadlock. So there are two approaches are there to prevent from the deadlock. The first approach In the first approach, it requires that each transaction logs all its data items before it begins execution. Either all are logged in one step or none are logged. The advantage in this particular approach is the transaction will hold all of its necessary data, put the lock on the necessary data. After that only it will start the execution. So here, if any of the data items are not available means the transaction can't start the execution and the locked data items will be released. So the deadlock situation can be avoided. So the disadvantage is hard to predict. Before transaction begins, what data item need to be locked. So in many of the transaction cases, the data items, sometimes some of the data will be needed during the execution of some operations only. So in the before starting the execution, can't predict what are all the necessary data items have to be locked. So this is the problem with this approach. In the approach 2, there is a method here. A unique timestamp have to be allotted for a transaction. These timestamps only to decide whether a transaction should wait or roll back for a particular data item. So in this approach 2, we are having two schemes, wait die scheme. So the two schemes are wait die scheme and wound wait scheme. The first one is wait die scheme is called as, it is non-preemptive technique. So when a transaction Ti requests a data item currently being held by Tj, Ti is allowed to wait only if it has a timestamp smaller than that of Tj. Otherwise, Ti roll back. The transaction Ti will roll back. Older transaction may wait for the younger one to release data item. Younger transaction never wait for the older ones, they are roll back instead. So the transaction may die several times before acquiring needed data item. So let us see one example. There are three transactions are there. Transaction T1, T2 and T3 having the timestamps 5 seconds, 10 seconds and 15 seconds respectively. If T1 requests a data item held by T2, then T1 will wait since T1 is having less timestamp than T2. And if T3 requests a data item that is held by T2, then T3 will be rolled back because the T3 having longer timestamp than T2. So this is wait die scheme. Next one is wound wait scheme. So this is preemptive technique. When transaction Ti requests a data item currently held by Tj, Ti is allowed to wait only if it has a timestamp larger than that of Tj. Otherwise, Tj have to be rolled back. Here in wound wait scheme, older transaction wounds, that is forces to roll back of younger transaction instead of waiting for it. Younger transactions may wait for older ones. For example, consider three transactions T1, T2 and T3 having the timestamp 5 seconds, 10 seconds and 15 seconds respectively. If T1 requests a data item held by T2, then the data item will be preempted from T2 and T2 will be rolled back. If T3 requests a data item held by T2, then T3 will wait. Okay. So the first case is if T1 requests a data item held by T2, the data item will be preempted from T2 and T2 will be rolled back. Now let us move to the next topic, deadlock detection. The deadlocks can be represented with one graph called as wait for graph, which consists of a pair G equal to V, E. V is the set of vertices, E is the set of edges. Each edge will represent Ti in the form like Ti goes to Tj. It is called as one edge. So there is a directed edge from Ti to Tj implies that Ti is waiting for Tj, Ti transaction is waiting for Tj transaction to release a data item. So the system is in a deadlock state if and only if the wait for graph having a cycle. So if the graph have a cycle, then we can detect there is the deadlock has occurred. Here the deadlock detection algorithm will be used to find out the presence of cycles in the graph. Here we can see the example. First example, T25, the transactions are there T25, T26, T27 and T28. T25 is waiting for T27. T27 is waiting for T26. T25 also waiting for T26 and T26 is waiting for T28. So here there is a possibility of completing the execution of all the transactions. So at first T28 will be executed. After that T26 can be executed. When the T26 has have completed its execution, it will release all the data items logged by it. So after that releasing the data item by the T26, T25 and T27 can be executed. So here there is no possibility of deadlock situation. So here this is the graph without a cycle. But when we look at the next graph, here cycle has formed. That is T25 is waiting for T27. T27 is waiting for T26. Also T25 is waiting for T26. T26 is waiting for T28. And T28 is waiting for T27. So here none of the transactions can complete the execution because all are waiting for some other transactions. Also here they are just forming the cycle. So here the deadlock has arrived in between the transactions. So none of the transaction can complete, so locked data items can't be released by the transactions. So all will be in a waiting state. So this is an example for the deadlock situation. Now let us see about the recovery from a deadlock. The common situation is to roll back one or more transaction to break the deadlock. So recovery means once the deadlock has occurred, there are two possible solutions are there to break from the deadlock. First one is the system have to select one transaction. That particular transaction is called as victim. So this process is called as victim selection. So that particular victim will be forced to roll back so that the deadlock cycle will be break. So the first step is selection of victim. One particular transaction will be selected for the rollback operation. That will be forced to roll back so that that transaction will release its locked data items. So that data items will be made available to other transactions. So the deadlock cycle will be break. Other transactions get a chance to complete its execution. So the overall deadlock will be released. So the rollback may be of two kinds, total rollback or partial rollback. Next one is starvation. Starvation is otherwise called as live lock, which is some other situation when a transaction has to wait for an indefinite period of time to acquire a lock. Reasons for starvation. If waiting scheme for locked item is unfair, victim selection, resource leak, denial of service attack. So these are all the reasons by which some transactions may go to waiting state for indefinite period of time or leads to starvation situation. So starvation can be explained with an example. Suppose there are three transactions are there, T1, T2 and T3. In a database, they are trying to acquire a lock on data item I. Suppose the scheduler grants the lock to first transaction T1 and the other transactions are waiting for the lock. As soon as after the completion of T1, another one transaction is coming, that is T4, which also wants to acquire the data item I Now this time the scheduler grants the lock of the data item I to T4. Again T2 and T3 have to wait for some time for the completion of T4. So after the completion of T4, again the data item I is granted to some other transaction. So here the T2 and T3 may have to wait for an indefinite period of time, which leads to starvation. So the starvations can be solved by increasing the priority level of the waiting transaction. Modification in victim selection algorithm. So sometimes one transaction will be again and again selected as a victim to perform rollback. So by changing the victim selection algorithm, some other transactions may be selected as a victim in second time. So so all transaction will get a chance to complete the execution and to get released from the starvation state. First come first serve approach. So by giving the access to the transactions in first come first serve approach, all the transactions will get the chance to complete its execution by accessing the required data item. Then wait die and wait wound scheme. This is the timestamp based schemes in which the transactions can be avoided to wait for a longer time. Next one is intent locking. Intent locks are locks which put on all the ancestors of a node before the node is locked explicitly. The intent locking may be of different types: intent shared lock, intent exclusive lock, shared lock, shared intent exclusive lock, and exclusive lock. So shared lock means if the data item is locked with the shared lock, other transactions can also use the same data items. Exclusive lock means if one data item is locked with the exclusive lock, other transactions can't access the particular data item. Other transactions, so the data item is exclusively locked. So these are the different kinds of locks. Now we can see the possible university questions. First one is, how can you detect a transaction deadlock situation? Explain the timestamp based deadlock prevention methods. Explain the deadlock recovery schemes. So thank you all.